So good morning to all of you. Welcome to the Fireside Chat Show of MBA Department of Swami Vivekananda Group of Institutes in association with HR Sampark, the People Group. Today, our guest of honor is Mr. Vishal Verma, who is the Senior Manager HR of Techno Electric and Engineering Company Limited. Vishal is a dynamic and in HR function, and he is also experienced in HR analytics, descriptive, diagnostic, and predictive. So it is our privilege to have Vishal in our show. So welcome Vishal to the Fireside Chat Show of MBA Department of Swami Vivekananda Group of Institutes.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta, for an opportunity to have a discussion on various aspects. Thankfully, we are entering into Unlock 1.0 tomorrow. Okay, so lockdown is going to be over by today. So we will be entering into Unlock 1.0 and hope by the end of the Unlock era, we will be reviving our economy and everything will be fine in another 2-3 months.
Yes. So thank you for starting with a very positive note because under this crisis situation, so it is required for all of us to be positive in this crisis situation actually. So as I'm going through your profile, so I have seen that you are very much into analytics or the HR analytics. So for the benefit of the students specifically, I just want to ask one question. If you can explain what is it, this analytics is all about.
See, analytics is basically, there is a combination of technology, statistics, and your business sense. Okay. So, analytics in itself does not exist. Okay. So, it's an applied sciences and a combination of different aspects. Okay. If you remove you, because you can understand if you look at the three-legged stool. So one leg of the stool is basically your statistics. Another leg is your understanding of the business context. The other leg is basically what we call as your technology. Okay. So any of the tool, if it is not working properly, the tool will not be stable. Okay. You can understand being from the engineering background, you can understand very well that. Okay. So to stool to stand still, okay, all the three legs should be parallelly working. Okay, that is the main part of that. So correct combination of statistics, business acumen understanding, as well as understanding of your technology is going to make you a person for better for the analytics, what we call as the analytics. Now, when we are talking about HR analytics, HR is our business. Okay, what we do, what our acumen is basically into. That is why we call it an HR analytics. Then we have the marketing analytics, financial analytics, operational analytics. It depends upon the business acumen. Okay, and when we're talking about basically technology, it's basically computing intensity that we are talking about. Okay, we are not talking about any particular programming language like Python, R, or anything like that. What we are talking about the computational intensity. Because when we have the large number of data, we need some the intensity of the calculation should be very fast. Okay, so it depends upon what kind of software we are using, be it Excel, be it R, be it Python, depending upon the number of quantity of the data that we are processing. Okay. So basically, it's about understanding of the entire, technology or the software program. So you don't need to be a software programmer. All you need to use that software in your benefit. I would suggest for students to start with Excel. Okay, there are many things in the Excel that most of the people are not aware. So there are even it's a data analysis tool pack is available with Excel. Then there is n numbers of add-ins available with Excel. Okay, they can go ahead with that. Start with Excel, then go with the R, then go with the Python. Okay, don't jump into Python straight away because that will make your life miserable. Okay, and believe me, being a practitioner in analytics for a long time. Okay, I can assure one thing for all the students and all the practitioners that analytics is the most easy thing you have ever done in your life. Okay, the other people who have made it a little, complacent kind of thing or not very easy to understand, portraying it as a very difficult thing. Okay, but that's not difficult. If you have a proper understanding of statistics, proper understanding of your business acumen, a little bit of understanding of your technology is going to make your life very easy. Okay, so take it easy, be comfortable, and it's very easy to do. All you need is to, definitely you need to have a very good understanding of statistics.
Mhm. Okay. So thank you so much for that motivation. Usually the students, even some of the faculty members are scared of this analytics part because they think it is a very tough thing to do. Only the very intelligent and the engineers, if they should be programmer kind of thing, then only they can do analytics. So it
You
is
don't
good to
need
know
to
that
be
yes,
data
anybody.
scientist.
Mhm.
Those people are basically data scientists. There is a difference between analyst, a data scientist, and a data engineer. Okay, because
Mhm.
there are three levels of hierarchy of that. Okay, when we are working as analyst, our work is basically what we call ourselves as the business analyst or the data analyst or the business analyst.
Right.
Okay, what we are concerned about the business output. Okay, even
Right.
when you are working with a big organization where the large number of data scientists are working who are into your coming from engineering background or anything, they are the people from the business analyst team who develop the algorithm and give to them. Okay, this is the
Okay.
algorithm that I am looking forward for. Basically, this
Mhm.
algorithm is derived from statistical functions. Okay, so all the business analysts understand the statistical functions. They derive that algorithm and give them to data scientists. Okay, and once the data scientists get that all the details, they do further mapping or automation of the thing. Okay, so
Right.
automation of the thing is basically leave it to the when we will be a bigger organization, we will be requiring data scientists. We will get from IITs or other engineering institutes. Okay,
Right.
but for business analyst, it's very easy, very comfortable. Just concentrate first on statistics, understand your business sense, and then develop the technology.
Right. So what I have understood that the students should concentrate on developing their business acumen, and along with their very good understanding about statistics, then they can get into this analytics domain, right? I'm just coming to the next part of our question, that people is to say that the analytics is generally used for the reporting purposes. So what is the difference between general reporting and analytics?
If we talk about the entire analytical journey, okay, or the maturity model, it is divided into four parts. One is first is your
Okay.
descriptive analytics, second is your diagnostic analytics, then predictive analytics, then is the prescriptive analytics. Okay, so these
Mhm.
are the four hierarchy. So basically, when we are talking about dashboards or reporting structures like that, okay, basically we are talking about your descriptive analytics. Okay, so descriptive analytics basically says what actually happened. Okay, so
Okay.
if the person left the organization, what was the male female ratio and everything. So these are the part of your dashboard. Okay, or basically what you can call as many people call as MIS, HRIS. Okay, so
Mhm.
basically that visualization part. Okay, where I can see on the just looking at my Excel sheet or my Tableau, or I can use any other software. Okay, I can just see the thing and then say, okay, my organization on this particular date as was having this much of male female ratio. This was the age bracket group accordingly. So all this basically when we say is basically what we call as the descriptive analytics. Okay,
Okay.
so
Okay.
dashboard making and MIS is one of the in the entire journey. It's the part of the analytics. That is why I usually said that most of the organization are there in the analytical journey.
Mhm.
Okay, those who we are used to say that we have not yet started analytics in our organization or so on. They are already into analytics because they are into descriptive analytics. Okay,
Right.
the maturity model, it will be we're going to diagnostic and then predictive and then prescriptive. That can be different part, but basically when
Mhm.
we start is basically all the organization are into analytics but at the descriptive level stage.
Right. Right. Okay. So for the students specifically, or the would be HR analytics practitioner, what are the tools they should concentrate? I mean, tools or the softwares they should be get trained to
See,
become a successful HR analytics
the
professional.
first thing that is required for any analytical practitioner is to have a very good hands-on Excel. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Excel to an extent, I'm not talking about VBA. Okay, visual level application, VBA, visual basic application, I'm not talking about. Okay, that is basically becomes a part of your automation. Okay, when we are talking about analytics, basically what is required is at the student level or any HR analytics level is basically understanding how we can do the statistical calculation on Excel. The first part.
Okay.
Okay, and at the same time you will require visualization tools like Tableau. Okay, Tableau and Power BI. Okay, either of them, yeah, you can use. Okay, Tableau is much easy to use. Okay, and lots of analysis can be done. Okay, the problem with Power BI is that you have to have an organizational email ID. It will not allow your Gmail ID or any other ID to access
Right.
it. And then once you have done with Excel and Tableau or Power BI, anyone you select, okay, then you can move into R, okay, and then you can move into Python, okay. But before moving into R or Python, I would always suggest that students should have a good understanding of SQL. Okay, because
Okay.
SQL is the fundamental thing, because there are many concepts even in case of your Tableau that SQL will be using. Okay, so backend is basically the SQL programming. So if the person knows SQL, it is very easy for him to do a level of detail calculation.
Okay. Okay. Fine, great. So what I have understood that the student should develop good knowledge in first in Excel, followed by Tableau. Then they should develop a good knowledge in SQL. Then they should go for R, and lastly they should go for Python. So
Yeah,
this should be the structure they should follow. Right, right.
yeah.
So thank you so much. Thank you so
But
much for this
don't
information.
student or anything, any person do not need to get hurry into that I have to complete Excel and go into R. Okay, keep patience, keep time. It's a practice kind of thing. Okay, the more you practice on any particular software, the more you skilled you get. Okay, so don't
Right.
rush into that I have completed my Excel, now I have to understand Tableau, now I have to complete R, now I have to complete Python. Okay, that is not going to happen. Okay, I would suggest when you are doing Excel, do at least for 6 months. Okay, get a very good hand on Excel. Tableau would take to get a very good hand on Tableau, it will take at least 6 months again. Okay, so in 1 year, or you can say you can work with Tableau and Excel along with that. So in 7-8 months, you will be having a good hand on both Excel as well as Tableau. Okay, then you can slowly move into R. Okay, and once you have done with, because R is also very easy. Okay, then you can move into Python. Okay, but I don't find any very good reason why the business analysts should go for Python. Okay, because these are the things that need to be done by the data scientist and the data engineer. Okay, so we can go into engineering colleges and get some data scientists for us. Okay, we don't need to go
Right.
into all the details. So business analyst R
Right.
is, yes, from it will be required at a certain level of time. Okay, but the small data is okay, and we can go with the Excel.
Right. Right. Thank you so much for that explanation and the clarity. Actually, it is much needed actually for the people who are looking into analytics, because I have seen that most of the people suggest analytics means go for R and Python, right? So that's the thing. So it's the nice clarification that we should start with Excel things first, then go for this Tableau, SQL, etc. So thank you so much for the clarification. I'm just coming to a different thing from this analytics part. That I have heard that you are mentoring many MBA students of many top-notch B school in India. So what would be your suggestion to the budding managers or the MBA students to be industry ready?
See, there are two aspects of that. One is mentoring them, and another is when I am, working as an HR and taking the interview. Okay.
Right.
So when
True.
I will be in, like to answer this question, I would like to take, put myself in the shoe of an HR. Okay, and then
Uh,
answer that would be make it much clearer. Okay, so basically, when we look as a fresher for students who are just coming out of the colleges, okay, we want them to be, the fundamentals should be clear. Okay, so for example, if we are taking any of the students for our comp part or comp division of our HR, okay, what we are
mhm.
looking for them is to have an understanding of PF. We do not want that what form need to be prepared and how the different forms will be filled. What is the this employment number, this number, and that number? We are not looking for that. Okay, but at the same time, we are looking for the student to at least understand what provident fund is all about. Okay, what is the percentage that is calculated, and just a basic fundamental why provident fund is required. Okay, so because
Mhm.
what happens that when we ask the question ki, do you know about provident fund, okay, how the provident fund is calculated, whether it is calculated on a basic salary or it is calculated on a the gross salary, they are not able to
Mhm.
understand. Okay,
Mhm.
rest what forms need to be filled up and everything, we will definitely, all organization is going to guide. We do not expect all students to know everything, because if they know everything, then they would not be treated as a fresher.
Right.
Okay, so what actually is happening is that they need to have a fundamental of the thing. Okay, say for example, if the person is joining the talent acquisition team, okay,
Mhm.
they need to understand what is the difference between recruitment and difference between selection. Okay,
Right.
the students are not aware of the difference between recruitment and selection. Okay, what are the different formats that can be used. Okay, just at least on the basis of theoretical aspects. Okay, because what we understand during the time of interview, that the person, if any of the student has actually read the books in a proper manner or understood the theory part of that, he will be easily able to catch up with all the practical aspects of that. Okay, so we do not expect that they know each and everything. Okay, but at the same time, we expect them that they should know this part, this much of thing that is required for them to grasp the knowledge.
Right.
Okay, so the fundamental should be clear, be it marketing, because when we are interviewing for the people for the marketing, they do not understand between marketing and sales. Okay, they do not understand the concept between channel marketing and service marketing. Okay, so for example, digital marketing is now at the boom. Okay, so
Right.
many of the students are not aware of what the Google ads is all about. Okay, I don't expect the student to understand all the how the process is being done, but they should be aware of what are the different methodology that is being practiced across the globe.
Right. Right. So I hope all the MBA students who are listening to this program, so they are getting the knowledge about how to crack the interview or what are the expectations from the HR during an interview. So thank you so much for the clarification, because this video would be available to the greater community. So I hope that a lot of people will be benefited with your explanation. So the related to this question, I have my next question for you. That maybe say for example at the time of interview, how do you differentiate between the reject and the select? If the all the candidates more or less are having the similar kind of qualities, what are the major points you are just looking into for differentiating between a select and the reject?
Uh, Let me be very honest to you, okay? Because
Hmm.
I think this will be available with all the HR professionals also, and most of the
Right.
HR professionals would also agree to me on this point. Is that when we are selecting a candidate, we are not actually selecting a candidate; we are rejecting the candidate. Okay, so we
Okay.
are actually, when we are working with a pool of 100 candidates and we are taking the selection interview, okay, we are finding all the parameters on which the candidate can be rejected. Let me be honest and very true. Okay, so if we
Okay.
are looking forward for 10 students, okay, we will be having we are not actually looking for 10 selections. We are looking forward for 90 rejections.
Okay.
Now, when we are screening the candidates, we are taking interviews. Say, for example, on the basis of skill, attitudes, knowledge, and everything that is required for performance of the job. Okay, and then we find that this person can be rejected. This person can be rejected on this ground. This person can be rejected on this ground. This person can be rejected on this ground, and so on. Okay,
Okay.
and then we have the leftover. Okay, that's 10 people who are not rejected actually get selected.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, that is what I said, that during the time of interview for talent acquisition, we want to understand from the students whether they understand the difference between recruitment and selection. Okay. So
Okay.
when, for example, I have also sent you a mail for sending us the details of the candidates in a Excel sheet.
Right.
So basically, what we are doing
Uh-huh.
when we are asking the colleges to send us the pool of the candidate, we are into the recruitment process. Okay.
Okay.
Now recruitment is basically pulling up the data, okay, from different sources, and then compiling up, and then starts the selection process. Okay.
Okay.
Now what the successfully selection process is happening is that we have identified that, for example, our cutoff marks is 70%. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever the data you have shared with us, out of that, from those data, we will reject all the candidates who have not scored 70% throughout this, the classes, 10, 12, and
Right.
so on. Okay.
Right.
So basically, what we are doing is rejecting those candidates. Okay, that these candidates are not eligible. Now, rest of the
Right.
candidates who have scored 70% throughout, in the case of our organization, okay, they are into the second level. Okay, so for students or for organized institutions, it is basically that they are entered into the second level of selection. Okay, but these are the students who have survived the rejection. Okay, they were not
Okay.
rejected.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
that is how the things actually works in the the background.
Okay. 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 So
Okay,
it's
so
nice to know because we are also not.
whenever the
Yeah. Carry
students
on.
are giving the interviews or anything, they need to find out the reasons why they do not get rejected.
Right. Right. So if they know this, so they should try to not to be rejected. They should have a
Yeah,
clear understanding for what reason they can be rejected.
this is,
So avoid those things so that your
Mhm.
chances of getting selection will be higher. So that
Yeah,
what you want to say, right? Fine.
yes.
That's a wonderful explanation. I hope the students would be
That's
preparing themselves accordingly
that
now
that
onwards.
is the trade secret for all HR professionals.
Right, right, right. So we are just as we are in the crisis situation of this COVID-19 and the related lockdown, though we are coming up with the unlock 1.0 from tomorrow. So within this period, that one of the major new normal is the job cut or the salary reduction. Uh, so what would be your suggestion to the freshers who are looking for jobs in this market? I mean, graduating in this year actually. So how to prepare? I mean, how what should be their approach of getting jobs in this crisis hit job market?
See, crisis was there, is there, and will be there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we cannot say, for example, any institution, okay, will not have 100% placement. Okay, any of the institutions.
Right.
You can expect 90%, 80%, that is good enough. Okay, even if you say that if you get 70%, you are a very good institution that you have placed 70% of the students. Okay, 100% placement has not been possible for any institution as of now. Okay, it can be 90%, but it cannot. I have never seen 100% placement. Okay, although institutions try their level best to get it to the 100%, but technically 100% is not possible because of various other reasons that
Right.
cannot be discussed in public forum. Okay,
Mm.
but at the same time, the business need to be sustained. Okay, so if
Right.
the business need to be sustained, there are many ways. For example, what happens is that when we are talking about salary cut or we talk about retrenchment, okay, the one aspect aspect that organization is not looking forward is for the the admin cost. If we are talking about the HR and the admin cost, okay, because the organization has already decided into cutting up the advertisement cost. Okay, the
Right.
organization is also trying to the government has allowed some incentives that will be helping the to establish the financial cost reductions and so on. Okay, on the basis of HR and admin cost, there are different aspects that the admin part can be first HR looks around the admin part and then see how it can be used and curtailed. Okay, so for example, we can
Right.
what we were having, luxury things that we can, luxuries can be avoided and so on. But still, if the organization needs to sustain for the longer duration of time, this is required. Okay, but of course, most of the organization I have heard has not been so, critical about cutting up the salary, like they have not deducted or the salaries like 80% or 50% or 60%, 10%, 15%, depending upon the different hierarchy of the people working in the organization and so on. That has been done in most of the organization. That is because the organization needs to sustain for a longer duration of time.
Mm-hmm.
When we are talking about the manufacturing, we are talking about other than ITES organization or IT organization or BFSI organization. If the organization need to sustain for a longer duration of time, they had to go through a salary cut. Okay, because there is one way. If I have to lay down the people, because the organization is not using both of the things. They are not using the laying off the people as well as reducing the salary. They have
Right.
resorted to any one of them. Okay, but depends upon the the financial health of the organization. They have to take the chances. Okay, this
So
COVID-19 has actually forced us, and 70 days lockdown for any economy is not good actually. Okay, but as since the health of the people is taken into consideration, it was required, it was done. Is even from the day one we were understanding that it will have an impact on the economy. It will have the we cannot say that it will not have the impact on the economy. There will be impact. Okay, but slowly we will recover. That is what I said when we started our discussion. Okay, that I am
mm,
on the positive note. Within 3 or 4 months or maximum 6 months, we will be again back on the trails, and we will be all very happy. Okay, and hopefully we will be getting our I'm very hopeful of getting the vaccine by end of this 2020. So by end of the 2020, we will be having our vaccines.
right.
We will be having coronavirus gone away. We will be having our economy back on the trail, and everything will be perfectly okay. Okay, so maybe 2020 has not been that good year, but yes, definitely by end of the 2020, I personally hope, I'm very much positive that everything will be back in.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for giving some hope and the positive sides of the crisis situation. So it is required. So that's the thing. So it is wonderful to have you at our show. Thank you so much for giving your time on a Sunday morning. So that's the thing. So thank you so much on behalf of our MBA department of Swami Vivekananda Group of Institutes, as well as the HR Sampark family. So as you have already came to our campus a couple of times. So I hope after the lockdown is over, someday we'll again schedule some activities face to face, so that
Yes,
our
yes.
students can directly interact with you.
Okay, it's an honor
So thank you so much. Thank you so
to
much.
have a discussion with you.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you again
Thank you so much.
from our department as well as HR Sampark. Thank you so much.
Thank you.